Okay, hey there everyone, this is Gray over at Wakizashi's Teahouse in Japan. I hope you're good, and most of all, I hope you're Genki. Today, I've got a very special guest coming back to the channel, backed by popular demand. It's Pops. How are you doing, Pops?
Popular demand of what? Like three people? I don't know. Listen, Gray. I love that we get to do this and hang out. We have really kind of gotten to know each other and bonded over our love of comic books, coming up at the same time, loving some of the same stuff, and thanks to the internet, we're able to do this regularly. So it's absolutely such a blessing to be here with you, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Same for me. And it was nice catching up on your channel 2 weeks ago, I think it was, when we talked about, was it King Spawn or Gunslinger Spawn or just generally the Spawn universe and how it's still going strong, Pops, at 25 issues.
Yeah, it's just great. It's such a, we need to take pause and at least say, look, a new book made it to 25. What are your thoughts on it? Do you want to jump in? So I think it was a great little segment. I actually made a clip out of it too. So in addition to the whole show, you can just watch that one clip if you're interested in that. But we were able to just catch up on some different stuff because it's tricky. But yeah, we're back on our little routine here about every couple of weeks, touching base, and I'm loving it.
It's good, yeah, it's good. And it's always good to catch up, good to talk. So much out there at the moment, so much to read. Not exactly a lot of it, would you say, quality work out there. But I think the big story, the big news, and the big talk at the moment, we talked about this before we started recording, is Mark Millar, the Millarworld, and the conclusion to Big Game. So episode 5, or no, sorry, issue 5 of 5. Did you get a chance to read it, or did you catch any of the hype over this issue?
Well, absolutely, and I've dabbled with the first 3 issues or so, and then as we were talking before we started, but I would tell everyone I have not actually finished issue 5 because my problem is it's so good. All it does is want me to go back and pick up all the pieces of the books that I either haven't read or haven't read in so long I can't fully appreciate what he's done here. It's pure genius. If it's not the best comic book of the year, it's among the best. And what he's done is he's taken everything from I don't know, Kick-Ass to, well, basically it's a sequel to Wanted. I mean, that would be the one miniseries. I think if you read that, go back to read Wanted, and this concept, which basically he did on Old Man Logan, was get all the villains together and wipe out all of the superheroes and then control the earth. And this is kind of a sequel to that because he's going to pull together these characters in the Millarverse to kind of readdress that situation because now we do have superheroes with ambassadors and stuff like that. So it is truly tremendous. It's a lot of fun.
It is, and it's crazy that, as you say, it is a kind of sequel to that. That was his first. That was his original solo or creator-owned, wasn't it? Title Wanted, and we're talking going back years, aren't we? I can't pull the date off the top of my head, but I think it might have been early 2000s. Was that right? Something like that. Let's have a look.
Yeah, 2003 and 4. It was, I think the original one is a Top Cow publication. Like he was working with, I believe that's Silvestri's company or whatever. I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't remember, but it was such a fun sort of like take on things. He'd already done well over at Marvel, and it was great to see something like this actually also come to head. I guess he also could, because he's also responsible. One we don't talk about. We should make sure we pencil this in next time on my channel. I would love to talk to you about this book. Maybe you'd revisit it. Superman Red Sun.
Oh yeah,
it's just a 3-issue miniseries that he did. He doesn't get credit for that book. It's just one because he's done so many good things. We forget that he's also done that one. It's around that time that he came up with this. So yeah, it's good.
Well, I'll tell you what, I first heard of him and I didn't really know who he was. I think he was doing 2000 AD work before he got his break at DC. He was working with Grant Morrison, believe it or not. They were both writing Swamp Thing. I can't remember which version it was. I think it was after the Nancy Collins run, it could have been, or it could have been before that. Not clear, but yeah, that's how I first heard his name. So via Grant Morrison, who I'm a big fan of him, especially his older stuff. So maybe he got a bit of a helping hand, a bit of a lift from Grant, and then look at him now.
Well, actually, Alan Moore. So he actually got a lift. Speaking of Swamp Thing, he'd interacted with Alan Moore at one of the conventions or whatever. And I think he was a teenager when that happened. And then he got some work working with Grant, and he just sort of came up that way, and just worked on other British books. I think for a while, he did some other stuff in the early '90s. He's a teenager, like I said, just running in. before he came over on Vertigo. And I actually don't think I've even read those in, golly, since the 2000s. I mean, it's been probably
Right.
50, at least 15 to 20 years since I've read those. So that'd be a great thing to go back and revisit too, is his work there. Because it's like everything he touches is at least better than everything else going on right now.
Yeah, absolutely agree, 100%. Just trying to find a picture. Okay, I'm going to share a screen, Pots. Just pulling up a poster of the classic Millarworld supposed reading order. You can believe that. Let's have a look. Here we go. Let's see this shares.
You should put that link in the description for folks, because that'd be really, really good for folks to kind of get into things. That'd be awesome.
That is a good idea. How's that? Is that showing up okay?
It is. It is. It's fairly good. And there's Wanted right at the top of the list, so that works.
So there we go. It says start here with Wanted. And as you say, you're right. It was back in, I think it was 2004 with Top Cow. Yeah. So Wanted, American Jesus, and Kick-Ass are the first three big titles there.
I don't think I've read American Jesus. Yeah,
It's
that one's.
it's really good. It's really, really good. It's a very different kind of story, of course, from him. Not as what's the word? Well, different kind of controversial. You know, there's not the crazy, bloody, violent action and the bonkers humor in that, but it is a fantastic story. I recommend it.
Okay. I like
Kick-Ass.
that.
I've only seen the movie pops. I've never read Kick-Ass,
Oh,
which
they're
I'm
fun.
going to get to. Are they good?
Yeah. Yeah, they're fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I will say this, and again, mild spoilers for big games. I don't think it would really shock anyone, right? If you put yourself into this world actually existing, imagine a place where this company comes up with this situation in ambassadors where they can give a normal person powers, right?
Yeah.
And they're picking one person from different countries, and that they're basically the ambassador. And that was the precursor to Big Game, because one of the main characters, Pakistan, the Pakistani ambassador, he shows up early on in Big Game. But imagine a character like Kick-Ass who just wants to do right and basically just puts on regular clothes, makes a suit, goes out with some sticks, starts basically just being a vigilante. And imagine that poor dude now watching the world of these other normies get powers when he's been trying to do this on and off again for years of his life. It all threads together so perfectly.
Yeah, it does. I tell you what, this big game, only 5 issues. I think he could have made an ongoing series easily, or at least a 12 issue maxi series of it, because there's so much story to tell, isn't there? Think about it.
He's so clever though. I don't want to derail our conversation about him, but we were talking before when I was talking about Predator and how really Predator 23 and Predator 2022 are really just miniseries. But instead of like marketing them that way, labeling them that way, and pitching them that way, they just come across as just another rebooted title. Whereas with
Right.
Mark Millar, I feel like he just says, "No, look, I'm writing this 6 issue book. I'm writing this 5 issue story," and then he can kind of move on and go on to the next thing, and then he comes back to it like this and takes so much. Oh man, I'm sure he's done the interviews to understand how this kind of came together of picking and choosing pieces, all these different characters. That would be a fascinating thing I would never get tired of hearing about.
So having a look at this awesome like Millarworld reading order, never mind the order, but can I ask you, Pops, out of all these books, how many have you dabbled with? How many have you read?
Oh
Even if
man,
it's just a
it's
few
been
issues.
so long ago too. It's just because again, we're talking about like 20 years ago. This has started.
Yeah.
So I would say, sadly, I've probably only read maybe half of them,
It's more
and
than
then I
me.
would say half of those I read years ago, like during the
Yeah.
2000s. Like so, I was telling you before, so I can't remember. I remember reading one. I had a Wanted trade. I remember reading it multiple times. Kick Ass, of course, things like that. But recently,
Okay.
I've read Ambassadors and King of Spies and things like that. So I reread Nemesis again and Nemesis Lua, and I remember reading Prodigy, things like that. But now it's like I want to go back and kind of start over and kind of
Yeah.
get through some of these things. So this may be my December project. This might be sort of like I'm going through Nightfall right now for everyone, kind of going back through Nightfall of like
Oh, good. How good
this
is that as well? I know it's a little bit of a different topic, but amazing storytelling. So good.
and the video and I only done one video that's out by the time folks are seeing this. I'm working on my second one right now, and I called the first one sort of like the setup, where I'm talking about Bane, and I'm talking about Venom, and I'm talking about Sword of Azrael and stuff like that. The biggest thing is we talk about all the time, great. In addition to the great stories, it's just the art. I mean,
Oh,
it's Joe Quesada art. There's just such great immersion in everything with what, like Chuck Dixon's and Graham Nolan with
Yeah.
Vengeance of Bane. It's there is no surprise when you read that book that you're getting like the tip of the iceberg of what this character is capable of. And getting into the Mark Millar world, I think it's going to be what it's going to be like. I feel like now I'm looking at this, and what I've seen is pieces of an iceberg, and now I see, oh crap, there's a massive iceberg right there, and
It's
I can
huge
immerse myself into
under the
this and just.
surface. Yeah.
But it's only like 4, 5, 6 issues a piece. Like each one is its own trade
That's it.
paperback, so
Yeah.
it's a manageable thing. Like I could read this in 2 or 3 days. I could read this in 2 or 3 days. That kind of thing. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think between now and the end of the year, my goal might be to go back through all of them and just kind of revisit stuff for people and really try to let people know good stuff. 'Cause that's part of what I think we're doing on our little YouTube mission here. Is there's good stuff too.
Well, that's it. What happened with me, Pops, is I was out. I was out of comics for years. Part of it was going to Australia for a year and then moving over to Japan. I just lost track of everything. So I missed a lot of this when this was really coming out. As I say, Mark Millar's work to me was like Grant Morrison, Swamp Thing years and years ago. But looking at this, I got into him via the Magic Order because I heard good things about that. The first volume, I say I can't date it, but it's a few years ago now. The very first one, and then like you, it was King of Spies, which just blew me away. Like probably the best miniseries of like 2 years ago, and Nightclub, and then of course Nemesis and Ambassadors. So it's all the latest stuff that I've picked up. But as you were saying, Big Game has made me really want to go back and just basically work my way through all of these series. And one good thing, he always has good art, doesn't he? You were saying about the art with Nightfall. As far as I don't know about the earlier stuff. I can't comment on every series, but he's got a big thing about having great artists to work with.
Yeah, he does, and he likes to experiment quite a bit. He likes to try some different, mix some things up and do some different
Yeah.
things, and I've always appreciated that as well. So yeah, I can't believe how much Big Game wanted. But I mean, I don't. Is it? I know he wants to be who he is, and I was like, is this like a marketing? Did he trick me into wanting to go and read all the? Like, I feel like I'm like I don't even know what the chicken and the egg is. Good
be.
story
Wouldn't
makes me want to
surprise me.
read them, or I feel
Genius
like
marketing by Millar. Yeah, absolutely.
it's just because it is. It's like, oh man, Mark, you've made me want to reread
Yeah.
stuff I have read and read the stuff that I haven't read. And yeah, it's just a credit when something is good. It kind of said, and that's I think how you and I got into comics to begin with. I got lucky. I've talked about it so many times with like the Frank Miller stuff and Daredevil and Batman. I'm thinking to myself, what if I had just not liked or not gone and bought them or not gone down the rabbit? It's like, what if I bought the wrong things or something? It's just so great to know that I got lucky enough to do this. And I hope that we can ultimately steer people in that direction. There'll be people 20 years from now going, yeah, that Millarworld's what got me into comics, man. I read this and then I was down the rabbit hole. I'm like, that would be the treat of my life to know that was how someone else got there.
Yes, it's funny you saying that. It's weird. He can be very divisive, can't he? I've noticed this with my videos. They don't do that well, so I don't get very many comments. But every now and then I'll get some really kind of hateful comments of people saying, oh, this guy, he just writes absolute garbage. What you talk about? There are people out there who have a serious dislike for whatever he does. They'll rate his issues 1 out of 10 just because it's him. Do you know why that is, Pops? Is there any reason why he seemed to have pissed a lot of people off in the past?
I think, well, first off, I think part of it is he does tick off people. Like, I mean, there's a panel in Big Game, I think it's issue number 1, where
Yeah.
he's mocking Americans, right? Because he's literally talking about the ambassador program. They can't find an American because, the country's totally divided, and half
Can't
whoever
agree
you
on one.
pick,
Yeah.
whoever you pick, half the country hates them. And there's like, I blame Twitter. That type of self-awareness into the world is going to tick somebody off because someone's going to be like,
yeah.
oh, crap, he's talking about me. You know what I mean? That happens regularly. I also think that the realism of how he presents stuff, it makes you feel like the conspiracy theories are real. Like he writes things that make you go, oh man, shadow government, world order, secret organizations pulling the strings of politicians and blackmailing and corruption. And I think a lot of that stuff eventually does this hits a nerve with this person, this hits a nerve with that person. And
I get that,
yeah.
but I can never tell if I don't think he's even being serious, is he? I think you're never really sure which side there is a side he's kind of leaning on. Is he having a joke at everyone's expense? Is he just saying, "Yeah, we're aware of this. There's a secret like ruling elite which runs everything," and then he makes it Wesley Gibson from Wanted, that kind of thing. It feels like he's playing both sides. But yeah, I get what
Yeah, I
you're
think it's
saying.
just a fiction. It's to him. I think again. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I feel like it's just fiction, right? To him, it's like,
Yeah,
dude, it's like get over yourself. What are you talking about? I'm writing a
it's a
freaking comic
story.
book, like
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
But I agree again, both sides, right? Because I haven't read American Jesus. I can't speak to everything on this list, but I'm sure there are things that might agitate a religious person, or there's people that might agitate a gay
for
person,
sure.
or might agitate, more of a faithful Marvel person and go, oh, no, he's ripping off old man, his work on old man Logan. He's just copying his,
Yeah,
that kind of thing. Fair
I've heard
enough,
that.
but
Yeah.
don't lie to yourself and tell me this is crappy books. So these are garbage reading. They are not. They're not.
No, they're not. If you just, yeah, people who write these off as like 1 out of 10, and it's just they put the review as like, oh, it's just garbage. Then
People
they've
that
got
write
nothing to
1 out of
say.
10 and 10 out of 10 should be banned. We got to put them in a
Ridiculous.
corner. One
Yeah,
out
they
of 10 and
should.
10 out of 10 people that do that all the time. You go stay in the corner. You're not allowed to play with us.
Oh my god, that's dangerous for me because I almost gave this issue 5 of Big Game a 10, but I was like, no, I'm going to give it a 9.5, just under a 10. So does that
Well, there
count
can
me
be
out,
an
pops?
issue that's a 10, and there can be a series that's a 10, but like people that are doing 10, everything gets a 9 and a 10, everything gets a
Oh
1.
no, it's
I
just
just,
gone bonkers.
that's not even like normal behavior and evaluation. So,
Good, but it's good to be talking about this, and it's good to be excited again. And I know I'm the same as you. I was looking forward to every issue when it was coming out. It was the top of my pile when whenever it was released. It's like, okay, when's Big Game coming out? Before that, it was Nemesis Reloaded, Ambassadors. Maybe I enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good. I thought it was like those two, and then King of Spies as well. Nightclub is one I would recommend. I don't think a lot of people have kind of delved into that because of the. I think they get a feeling it's a bit of a YA title, but it could be seen on that way, but it's still Mark Miller writing it, So it's very,
I
very
have no
clever.
problem with it being a YA title. I haven't gotten to that one. I know you had that as highly recommend as well, and I have no aversion to the YA title. I think that's actually great. I think we need more of that. We actually need. I know, Mark, you're not going to want to hear this, but you do need to make a couple things that are PG because we need to be able to make sure we have a generation of like 9-year-olds that can get into this and not get in
Exactly.
trouble with their parents. And
Yeah.
then they can secretly sneak, King of Spies under the bed and they can make sure that they are, caught up. But we do need to make some stuff that's because I can't handle that. Gray, where I look at the cover of the main Batman or Spider-Man book and it's got like a PG-13 rating on it or something like that. Okay, I'm like, guys, you're messing up your brand if your gateway
Mm,
drug can't be accessible to elementary school and middle schoolers. Like we have to just have both, but you don't put them in the same book. That the darker Batman gets a black label, the darker
yeah.
Spider-Man. There's a business strategy. This isn't like new things. These companies have been around for 40 to 80 years. Like this is not a new business. So.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool. That's good to get your thoughts on this. It's good to talk about it, and delighted to see the hype for it. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Stop sharing there a minute. Moving on then, Pop. Shall we look at something, a little bit of a comparison, because we're talking about Mark Miller. Not only him, there are some good titles coming out, but it does seem to be they're coming from indie publishers a lot. Well, there's a lot more very, very solid indie publishers putting good work out. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Oh, 100%. And actually, I just want to add another, like, if you haven't seen it. So I did a video on Blood Commandment, and I found it because on Image, you can read #1 issues for free.
Yeah.
And Mark Millar recommended it. He goes, this is great, whatever. And what really caught my eye was it's a passion project. The guy that wrote it, drew it, it's his baby. And I'm like, that is brilliant that Mark's hitched his wagon to someone who has this vision. It's dark, edgy, sort of horror comic. I tried to share a lot of it without spoiling it because I didn't want anyone to be. I didn't want it to be ruined for them. I do a lot of spoilers on stuff. That is fair. I do understand that criticism of my channel and my content. But I will say on that one, I basically said I am not going to spoil this one for you because I want you to understand I want you to have at least the surprise factor of when you get there. So. Yeah, this is great. I loved getting into this. And again, it's I guess Image Comics is an indie comic, even though I guess at this point, I mean, you've been around for
Yeah.
30 years. I don't know why we keep calling them that, but yeah, that is who they are at
I
least.
know, right? People say that. They say like, "Oh no, you can't call Image an indie," but I still see it as that, and there's nothing wrong with saying that, is it? It's the big two are kind of separated, and then you've got the rest.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think that they do a great job of doing what comic books have always done. They will write hardcore capes and costumes, lots of stuff like in the Spawn titles, lots of adventure superhero stuff. But then they will have like these are horror comics, or I think what we talked about briefly, like Local Man and Phantom Road, and things that get a little edgier and different.
Oh
And then
yeah,
you'll get into things that are, that, to be honest, use the buzzword, they are extremely woke or they are far left, crazy weirdo type comics, and that's okay. They have their niche, they have their place. Let them stand on their own merits, and I think he
absolutely.
he allows it all to be under the one roof and the one rubric, and that's what the big two have gotten away from. But this is one I really enjoyed. If you like
I
horror
gotta
comic
say,
books and creature comic books, this is going to be your thing.
first impressions, I love this art. This art style is great. Is it the same? It's a writer. He's doing the writing and the art, isn't
Yep,
he?
correct. Yeah, he's. If you go back to that title page, he's it. He's the name of
Kudrański.
everything. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
there we go.
yeah.
I don't even want to try and pronounce his name. I'll probably butcher
No,
it,
I
but
probably butchered it on my video. I did the best I could, and I all I can say is I apologize for the folks for my ignorance when it comes to
one
that.
man art comics, and then it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Image are publishing it. Okay, brilliant. Thanks for that recommendation. That's a good shout out from Pops we've got there. If you're looking for, it looks like possibly a vampire story, or it could be it's a horror based story. Yeah. What I was going to bring up next, Pops, is and it's kind of a what's the word? A catch-22 question in a way. As you know, I do cover a lot of new releases. I try to keep reviewing. I've been reviewing the Spider-Man by Zeb Wells, and I was reviewing Batman till I just dropped it with the recent Gotham War. I just got sick of it because the quality has dropped so much. For new comics from the big two and focusing on Marvel, is there anything that you would recommend that is an essential buy for people?
I,
Let's have a
so
look.
it is a catch 22
It is.
because people always say that's an essential buy, or that I would actually tell people to spend their cash on, and I get caught because the only one that I can think of that I would say is a consideration, or at least the one that I am enjoying reading, at least at this point. But we're only 5 issues in. Like, how do I recommend something that's only 5 issues in, Gray? Like, it could change tomorrow.
No.
Incredible Hulk, I think has done a good job, and our hat tip to our friend Eric O'Sullivan, who turned me on to that. I didn't care for issue number 2. There's really not a lot of Hulk in my Hulk comic, but it bounces right back and gives me what I want. Philip Kennedy Johnson's doing a really kind of an edgier horror feel on everything. I really liked it. The colors are different. I do have panels and I do have issues. You know how I am about my issues with my details, and they take panels off or they have one cringy panel and things like that. So it's not a perfect thing. But to tell people to spend, $3, $4, $5 a piece on these things,
Yeah.
I get very hesitant. I just get very, very hesitant. So I would
I'm the
just
same.
say a slight recommend. Keep your eye on if you're using digital outlets or something and you see it pop up. Maybe give it a flyer, see if you like it, and then go buy physical copies accordingly. It's just tricky. I can't do the Spider-Man thing, man. I've seen stuff you've done. I've popped back in for an issue or two, and I'm like, nope, still hate it. I did get caught up on Avengers. We talked about last time on my channel, and I'm like, it's not the worst Avengers in feel, but it's just like it's so Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers centric. It's hard for me to totally enjoy because
Okay.
she's
Are they
such a
pushing
Mary
her?
Sue.
She's the main, like, well, the front runner, the character, the leader of the Avengers, is she at the moment?
It's more like an organizer of the Avengers rather than a
Okay.
leader. So she's not like the battlefield strategist, but it's not Captain America, right? It's Captain Falcon, right? Thor, Vision, Scarlet Witch is like an uber powerful character in that version. She's not really a team. She's not really slotted in the team exactly. She's a very,
Sure.
yeah, things like that. But it's not the worst comic book in the world, and it's not a bad representation of Avengers adventures. It's Carol Danvers centric, so it's hard because her character is just so one dimensional. I just don't care for that. But
Heard
yeah,
good
no,
things.
I don't.
Just to take you up on that, the Hulk, the new Hulk run. I've heard pretty good things about that. So you're not the only person who's talking about it, saying yeah, you should check it out. If you like horror comics, it's got a good horror feel to it. As you say, maybe not a traditional Hulk comic really, but yeah, something different. At least Philip Kennedy Johnson's trying something a little bit different with that.
Yeah, I agree. I
Pop,
agree.
Pops, have a look at these. This is just this week. Just one example, yeah. This week's new releases. We've got, how many is it? It's 8 to a row, so there's 8 threes, 24 24 comics just from this week from Marvel. And the big titles here are Fantastic Four. There's a new Immortal Thor run now. Daredevil, of course, been relaunched again. And I would say
I can't do this relaunching nonsense. I'm so frustrated with this. And now
Superior
I'm really
Spider-Man
frustrated with
issue.
like the Predator thing I mentioned earlier, where it really wasn't a relaunch. It's a continuation of a story. And it should have been a mini series because it literally is like 4 or 5 issues start over, 4 or 5 issues start over. I'm like, then label them as such so that the long time readers can enjoy it better.
Have a
Can
look
I
at
point
this. The
out that
same thing has happened with this just before you go on. Alien, same writer,
oh
same thing.
no. So
It's
I bet it is the
relaunched yet
same
again.
thing.
So they're doing the same thing. They're doing like five issue, as far as I know, 4 or 5 issue miniseries, but they're making out, no, it's a new ongoing each time. That's what you were just saying about Predator, yeah?
I wonder if it is like a because the Predator is so bad, Gray. When you read it, you there's like a subtitle to the book. So like one in Predator, like one of them's called The Reserve, and that's the 2023 quote miniseries, which is what it was.
Okay.
They can make it seem like it's an ongoing series, but it's not. And I don't know.
$5.99 for this as well. It says 40
That's
pages, but that
insane.
actually means probably 30, 31. $5.99. Declan Shelby, yet again. He wrote the last 2, I think.
$5.99. $5.99. Yeah, I
Ooh.
can't believe that because so you're going to spend, let's say, $20 to $25 to $30 on this series.
Yeah.
Now, there are going to be variant covers of this, I assume, that are just beautiful, which is, the case where they get everybody because they make beautiful variant covers. But at least we're getting some Alien in our Alien book.
We are. It's a nice
I
cover,
mean,
that one.
that's a nice change of pace with some aliens actually in our Alien book because that doesn't always happen, as you and I have discussed regularly about our monster comic
It's
books.
true. Hey, look at that, Pops. There's only 5 as well. Well, if you count that one, there's a Virgin, the same image here, a Virgin variant. There's only actually 4 variant covers. That's rare for a number 1 from Marvel.
Sure. No, they have to scale back. Those Virgin covers, though, they make nice graded comics. So get yourself a nice graded comic if that's into that wall art or whatever. Let's point out then, I mean, literally 24 issues is just insane. But let me just say on that, I can't even tell people where to begin with X-Men stuff. The X universe is such a disaster that I will look at one of these books and I'm trying to figure out the characters, power sets, who's who. They're derivative characters. They've been changed so radically. They don't behave like anything I recognize. I don't even know what to do with what's happened over there. So it is probably the least interesting company right now, in my opinion, of the main 5, if you will.
Yeah, I agree. I've heard the same complaints from long-time X-Men fans. They say it's just a complete mess at the moment. You've got all these different titles, like Dark X-Men, Jean Grey's got a solo series. You go down a little bit more, there's Alpha Flight. It's all these like X-Men related things, but there doesn't seem to be any kind of, what's the word? They don't line up, they don't match up. They're just all over the place. It's just gone. But yeah, they'll bring more titles out, Pops. They'll bring out, the Uncanny X-Men or the Dark X-Men or the whatever, the X-Men on holiday. It's just getting ridiculous.
I think I was reading like one of the press releases on like what's coming next, and it was, it was sort of like the something of X, the X of this, and the X of that, and the X of this, and this, and this, and then as like it was such gobbledygook, I couldn't make out what they're talking about. I'm like, never mind, I'm not participating. You get so complicated that you just paralyze readers who just don't want to participate. They'll just wait. They'll wait till somebody like us, whoever they listen to, gives them a recommendation that says this story's good, and then they'll go read that one story and they'll back out again. They'll wait for the next recommendation because it's just too convoluted. No one can enjoy it.
Yeah, I understand. I agree. I just can't believe that. 24 issues in just 1 week. Marvel. No wonder they're going down. No wonder they're struggling. Okay, we got like a Superior Spider-Man new series started. There's a spine-tingling Spider-Man. Anything apart from the main Spider-Man book, because that just sucks at the moment.
A lot of people were. Did you do anything about Spider-Boy? I know we had a brief little. What do you think about this, Pops? And I was facepalm the whole time, but it wasn't the worst conceptual of the story that led up to it. But I didn't know if you guys read the real book or you read this new issue or whatever. I didn't read it.
I saw some reviews from like people whose opinions I trust, and they were saying it's fun. It's actually, it could be good for a children to pick this book up. It's actually fit. It fits. What do you call it? All ages, an all ages fun book. A bit silly, a bit bonkers, but yeah. There we
Okay.
go.
Interesting.
Interesting. Well, I just caught my eye here, Pots, because I wanted to show you a little bit of the art from inside this. I've got a copy lined up. Peach Momoko has done a Star Wars Visions book, and this is kind of famous. Well, we were talking beforehand. She's famous as a cover artist, but I think this book has no dialogue. Should we have a look at it?
Sure.
Should we have a look inside? Let's see. Share this tab instead. Okay, here we go. So Pops is coming to this unscripted, unseen. Just give you a little look at the introduction here. Now, this is called Star Wars Visions, The Followers of Angkor. Great name. Generations after the death of a great Sith Lord, the dark side has become shrouded in legend. In its absence, the cult of Angkor rose to prominence with the promise of ending people's suffering. That's all we get as a setup. There's a few characters listed, and it's Peach Momoko doing the story, the art, and the cover.
Okay.
So we won't read through it, but just have a look and see what you think. Let me know what you think of the art. Here we go.
No dialogue.
No. Silent issue. Maybe until at least further on. I've only skimmed through this.
It's definitely got that, this is tricky because, you always want to talk about, Asian art styles and some of those kinds of different techniques and things. But then it always kind of makes my brain want to go to like anime, but this isn't anime. It's a different type of that type of art.
It is, isn't it? It's slightly different. Yeah, you wouldn't say traditional like anime or manga style. It's got it's a kind of a mix of a Western and maybe Japanese painted style.
You went past a page. I'm trying to keep up with where you're at, and I paused my side. That go back a little bit more. There's one with their hands down. The hands are really weird looking. Yeah, look at the hands. The hands are.
Who is this? Is that the same character? That's a weird. Maybe the perspective.
It's the character that's above the person, like a priest, like a priestess. Like you go up one more.
Oh
like
yeah,
there's
there
this
we go.
like a priestess on a thing, and then this thing is on this pedestal looking thing, and the hands are very ginormous relative to everything else in that image.
Close to the camera.
Yeah,
maybe.
the side image that shot gives you a little bit of a better perspective on what you're looking at, because it's a little hard to kind of place in the first panel, but now I can see it. But yeah, this person, individual, whatever, has ginormous hands. Just so everybody knows, ladies.
There we go. I like the style. I quite like it. I like the.
I don't mind all this. I'm not sure I'm totally following what's going on, but I can get enough of it.
The reason
I don't feel like I'm in a Star Wars universe at all, which is kind of the first impression. I don't feel like I'm in a Star Wars universe.
No, a little bit when we get here, maybe just with the kind of Mos Eisley slightly vibes to it.
Yeah, almost like the child with the goggles on feels very much like that character they introduced in the sequel movies, but I don't remember much about her. Maz or something, Maz or Maz or whatever her name was.
Maz.
Yeah, so this definitely feels like that sort of like Tatooine market or something like that. And then we have hologram stuff that feels very Star Warsy. Well, that was interesting. So whatever happened earlier comes out of the hologram is interesting.
I think there's a slightly bit of lightsaber action right near the end. I'm just going to scroll ahead to it. That's about it. But yeah, it's almost like a dream. This isn't it? A kind of dreamer issue or something.
Yeah, it's very interesting that it's just different. I don't know that I feel like I'm in a Star Wars place like at all, but I don't necessarily. Oh yeah, we lose the art at the end. Okay, yeah, I'm on a different page than you are. I don't know what page I'm on. Yeah, there are some panels where we lose the script, but it's okay. Yeah, there's some panels where we don't have great detail and things get away from her, but it's just different for sure. It wouldn't be something I'm particularly thrilled about. I really don't care for some of the character designs on the one kid with the goggles. A couple shots that are just really pretty rough, but it's definitely different. So I'll say this for them: like if this is like almost like an indie comic. Like I mean, it's
that's
like
what I'm thinking. Like a European comic, even like a bande dessinée, something like that, a French one. And the next one is going to be by Takashi Okazaki. There we go. So a very different style, like more of a samurai style.
it's just to me, this is almost like fan fiction stuff that they're actually licensing to print. So it's just
Yeah.
interesting. You would always see this at a con or something that'd be very fan fiction-y. So, a different artist that would have a take on a Star Wars character or a thing like that. And here they're just going to put that right out there for fans to buy. I don't hate that idea, but I don't want to try to prop it up as being great. It just to me it felt very it's not something that I'm particularly interested in. And
Hmm.
I don't hate silent books. I don't know that she really told a story that I'm particularly like wow about. It's just it is what it is.
A
Yeah,
bit like
I would
space fantasy or John Carter of Mars vibes to it
yeah,
more
this
than
could be
Star
anything.
Wars.
I
Yeah,
mean, other than
yeah.
we end up with like a blaster and a couple lightsaber moments, if that's the only thing that makes it Star Wars. If she had pulled out a sword that was actually like a blade and not a lightsaber, and the kid had a different type looking different blaster, it wouldn't be Star Wars. It would just be some other sci-fi type universe that we're playing in.
It surprised me though because it's Marvel and you actually got the feeling they're trying something a bit different with that. It's $5.99. It's a one-off. Star
Ooh,
Wars Visions
six
Peach
dollars.
Momoko.
$6 is a hard sell for me. That's a lot of money to spend on some weird, odd Star Wars Vision project. But okay, how can it be? Like you couldn't make this book so it could sell for $2.99 or $3.99. Like Lord, we've lost the script.
Lost the script. Yes. Okay, that's good to get your thoughts on that. And the reason I wanted to talk about her is the final topic talking about Pops is the relaunch of the Ultimate Universe with good old Jonathan Hickman at the helm. Let's just share this article. It's a little bit of an older one. It's from October this, but it's basically giving you a look at some of the new titles that will be coming out starting in January with a new Spider-Man book. And it's not Miles Morales, it's going to be Peter Parker.
Wow.
Let's
Okay.
go closer on these.
Interesting that we're going to have Hickman kind of rip off, I guess, Bendis and Millar. Like this is what we're gonna do. Like okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect in a lot of ways with this.
What's
But
got
I
me
feel like
excited
this
is the
is
artist Marco. I think it's Ciccedo we say, or it could be Ciccedo. He was doing the work with Chip Zdarsky on Daredevil when it was a really good run. So he's got me excited for it more than Jonathan Hickman. But there are a lot of Hickman fans out there, Pops, who will like buy anything he does.
he has a good reputation and he does deliver something decent for the most part. I'm not going to pile on Hickman by any stretch of imagination. I just don't like the concept of we're going to because the Ultimate Universe was an alternate version of the main universe, and now we're going to
Yeah.
make an alternate version of the alternate universe. Okay, so are we going to have to deal with a secret invasion 2030 that resets everything and plucks out two or three characters that they like and they want to put them into the main. That's kind of how I feel. That's what they did last time. They told us they weren't going to do that, and that's what they did. Yeah, this is going to be one of those things. And well, I'll let you go through some of the different titles first because there's more than just Spider-Man.
Yeah, there are only three. They're focusing on three. There's a Spider-Man. There's going to be an Ultimate Black Panther. And what's got me excited for this one is the writer Brian Hill. I've been enjoying his Blade series from Marvel. I'm not saying it's fantastic, but it's been fun. And then Peach Momoko is going to do her version of Ultimate X-Men, this has got people talking a lot. People aren't sure what to make of it because she's done some limited X-Men work where it's more based on Japanese myth, Japanese mythological creatures set in a supposed X-Men universe.
Yeah, from what I know about that, and I've not read all of them, so I don't want to totally speak out of turn, but I could see her being a good creator on like a New Mutants book because some of the,
Oh
the
yeah.
the power sets of the New Mutants seem like it would play well as cross pollinated with that sort of like Japanese style and mythology. Like so, she wants to do some of that type of stuff with, Wolfbane, and we're going to get another. Well, people are familiar with the movie, so if you get that sort of like stuff interwoven into her style and stuff like that, I think that could work well. But again, I don't even know what's going on with the X-Men anymore to know. And I don't have faith in her and her style that I want to see her doing some sort of ultimate version of Wolverine and Gambit and Rogue or Storm or anything like the traditional favorites. So I don't know what to expect there. That's a crapshoot. But it might be a good place for me to jump in and start on something and see what actually happens. So that might be the strategy.
This
Is
one's
Black
due out
Panther?
in sorry, in March. But what's got me worried a little bit is she's writing it and drawing it. So, I don't know how often they're going to come out. Surely they won't be able to do a monthly release for this.
Well, I got to be honest. We can't throw stones too much at that because I have to be honest. Even if you go back to Millar and Hitch, like when they were doing like Ultimates and stuff like that, those books took like twice as long. I think it's a 12 or 13 issue series. The first series I think is 13 issues. I think it took 2 years to get all those out.
Oh yeah, wouldn't surprise me. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't surprise me.
So I'm not going to totally bag on her if it takes her like an every other month thing. I want them to just tell me what it's going to be. If it's going to be once a quarter, that's fine. Just tell me what it's going to actually be. Don't have me sitting around getting angry that I don't have anything when I expected to get it. Are you surprised by the Black Panther though? As the other choice, like is there enough Black Panther fans that they're going to be like, oh, let's create an alternate universe where we have another Black Panther? I'm like, gee, everything is derivative in Black Panther's world. I can't even keep up with Black Panther universe.
No, I don't. I've not been reading it, so I really can't comment. It's just to say, just the creator Brian Hill that got me interested because I've enjoyed his work before. His Killmonger mini series was very good. I don't know if you ever read that.
No, I'll have to maybe take a look at it, take a peek at it, and see. Okay.
Let's have a look. He's saying here, my influences range from the history of Black Panther comics to Ryan Coogler's incredible work with the recent films to Frank Herbert's world-building capacity on Dune. Interesting. So, Bob, Spider-Man, not got you tempted?
Again, just because we're doing a channel, like I can say like, since it's like a new thing, it might be worth taking a look at and just kind of seeing, kind of like what like the what's going on kind of thing. So I'm not going to say that I won't touch it or do anything with it. I would say I'd be more likely to dabble with checking out the Spider-Man and X-Men, and then Black Panther would be my third option. But I'll check out this Killmonger miniseries as well and see, because you're right. Maybe if it's somebody that I really enjoy, then maybe I'm being unfair. So we'll see.
Awesome. That's good. Good to get thoughts. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, again, because there are a lot of disgruntled Spider-Man fans out there who surprisingly are still buying it, despite a lot of them aren't even reading the current series. But, a lot of loyal fans. If we get a good Spider-Man book with Peter Parker in it, acting like Peter Parker.
Isn't it weird that they're not just buying them as back issues and just saving the money? Like, okay, so if you're just going to check out, I get it. Like, okay, I don't want to, but I want to keep my run going. So let's say you just want to make sure that you've got 700 in a row or something, whatever. I used to be that way for Batman, right? I had every issue from like 400 to well into the 600. So I wasn't going to miss an issue, right? But there was times where I took off a couple months. Then I'd just go find them, and I would actually get them cheaper in the back issue or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. I can't do it, man. I can't. Marvel is the thing that's got me least interested. But then I gotta be honest. I'm not gonna. I tried to give Doctor Strange another shot because I'd read a few issues. I guess I need to do a video on it. But Kalia is his wife now because they brought Doctor Strange back from the dead, right?
Yeah, I heard about that.
And she is such a nasty, off-putting, emotional, erratic woman that I can't get my head around. Like this is literally like the witch on wheels. And they create a what if story is basically the general story. Like, imagine Doctor Strange is tasked with doing this sort of like supernatural world battle, and he's been asked to kind of be a part of it. And in the process, he basically is stuck doing this, and he's out of time doing this. So he's ended up doing this for years. Years become decades. Decades become centuries. So it ends up being like he ends up changing and evolving into this like the warlord who becomes the villain that's the shadow of his former self, and that's General Strange. And they imprison General Strange, and because of Stephen's death, General Strange is out. It's kind of like the What If episode of like Dark Doctor Strange. And it's like they've made that the thing. It. But then they distract me all the time with all of this weird bad art characters. Oh, you know how I love my pastels and my blues, and that book is riddled with it. So it's really tough. It's tough to get into. And then on the Shazam side, over on DC, because I was like, oh, this could be kind of fun. I thought he kind of gave us a good introduction. I feel like Mark Waid doesn't take it serious. I feel like he's mocking me because it's just he does things, he'll say things, and you're just like, what am I doing this for? Like, what am I doing this for? Like, I don't. Yeah, and that's kind of where the big two are. I just don't feel like they're in it as serious as we are sometimes. Like I don't feel like they have the same level of appreciation of the art form, storytelling, things like that we do. And that list of people who do, or creators that do appreciate on that level, it's a shorter and shorter list, sadly.
Okay. How you doing there? Mrs. Wakizashi just finishing work. Just say, what's going on? How
Oh,
you? So what we'll do, Pops, if it's okay, we'll wrap things up here.
yeah,
This has
yeah.
been great. So before we finish up, let's get you talking about what you've got coming up on your channel. Please let people know. That'd be great to hear.
Well, every Wednesday I treat as Comic Book Wednesday, so we'll have some sort of comic book talk and hopefully a review or two. We'll see. I don't know how we do it. How do you even remotely try to keep up with reviewing them, Gray, and doing videos? It's it's a Rubik's cube of time
Impossible.
management. Because comics is probably the most difficult thing to do a review on, because you're trying to share pages and images and things like that, and it's exceedingly difficult to do. But yeah, every Wednesday I do that. And then around that, I have a Tuesday night live show, which is 5:30 Eastern time. It's called Talk Hard. So we have we're headed into our Thanksgiving holiday week, so I'll be off on that. Hail to Mrs. Wakizashi. Hail to you, lady.
Hail to Mrs. Wakizashi. She just sneaked out and
Yeah,
grabbed a
it's good
drink.
on her. So I have like a kind of a holiday week coming up where I'll be on vacation doing that. But yeah, the Tuesday shows. Then of course I do a little bit of everything: movies, TV, cartoons, comic books. Just the uber nerdy stereotype of stuff is what people can expect over on at Pops. So there you go.
One of the busiest men on YouTube, I've got to say. It's amazing the output you do. Very impressive. With me, these days, it's almost like, can I get more than one new comic book review done in a week? I used to be doing at least three, like two or three. Then I started feeling guilty if I didn't do, more than two. So I was like, nah, I just see how it goes. But I'm glad I got a review of Big Game out for me last night my time, so early Wednesday morning American time, and yeah, people seem to be very very hyped for that. And it was great talking with you about that as well. Glad to hear you've been enjoying it too, Pops.
Oh, it's always great to talk comics with you and everybody out there. Please, hit us up in those comments and chats and DMs and whatever about things that you want us to talk about and things like that. And
Mm.
trust us, folks. We even if it's stuff we have read and haven't done videos on, it's a time management issue of trying to figure out the best structural way to engage with you guys. But that is why we do this. That's what we enjoy doing the most.
And of course, if you're not subscribed to Pops, come on, what are you doing? The link will be in the description. Please do check the notes, the show notes below the video. Have his link there, and yeah, do look forward to catching up. Hopefully, it'll be on your channel next time, Pops, and maybe we'll be in December by then. Is that right? Wow.
It'll probably be close to that if it's not. Yeah, it'll be in that ballpark for sure.
Okay, well, I wish you the very best for. It's a bit early, but have a great Thanksgiving. Have a great time with the family. Have a good holiday. You enjoy that, and looking forward to catching up soon.
Take care.
Okay, take it easy. Bye bye.